guys, I've had some questions about editing, and I thought it would be easier to show you than to try to explain it in writing. So I thought I'd make you a quick little video, and please excuse me while I pull this up. I couldn't get it to come up with this screen recording program. So bear with me while I pull this up. And this is one of my favorite images. I shot this back in January, and we had gotten outside to play right before a storm was rolling in, and the sky was just amazing. But there was no way for me to shoot this without getting power lines and houses and traffic in the background. So I'm going to fix that in Photoshop. I always start in ACR, and as you can see here, I've already done an edit on this. I work with the 2010 process just because that's what I learned, that's what I'm comfortable with, and I'm just too stubborn to change. So I've pulled the exposure down here a little bit to bring back this red area. It's lost detail, and so I've pulled that back to bring back a lot of the clouds here, and also the recovery slider helped to bring that back. I added a little bit of fill light. It brings up the shadows just a touch, and then I've added +10 clarity because I liked the way the light was playing on the grass here. I thought it added a nice texture to this image. I usually don't add clarity, but for this one I did. I also did quite a bit of sharpening here, but then I did some heavy masking. And so if you press Alt and click on this little slider, you can see anything in white has been sharpened, and anything black it has been masked back off of. So that's where I landed there. I also love the split toning panel, and I generally add some yellows, some goldens to my highlights. I shoot a lot of backlight images, so that yellow really plays up that golden light. And then I love blue in my shadows. I think it really deepens them, kind of gives you a nice rich shadow. So I'm usually at 233 on the shadows, again at 5% saturation. And that's all I did to this one. And then I took it into Photoshop. And you can see it's already there. Okay, so then I duplicate my background layer, and then I just start cleaning up distractions. So I'm going to use a spot healing tool and get rid of this thing here. And if one tool doesn't work in Photoshop, another one will. So it's a lot of trial and error to get rid of some things. But I'm just going to take out some of the stuff here that it just distracts. Okay. This up here. And then I'm going to switch to the lasso tool, and I'm going to take out this park bench. So I go up to Edit, come down here to Fill, and I've already selected Content Aware from this drop-down menu, and then just click OK and let Photoshop do the heavy lifting for me here. And just like that, the bench is gone. And that did a pretty clean job. I'm going to grab this and get rid of this little blob here. And my screen recorder, the cursor is off from where I really am, so this might be a little bit confusing, but we'll try. I'm going to get rid of this car next. And this part's kind of tedious and boring, but really that was the heavy lifting of this image. I didn't do a lot to it color-wise or anything like that. I just cleaned up a lot of the distractions, and then I brought out the light on them, and I'll show you how I did that. So now I want to take out some of these houses, and so I'm just going to try Content Aware again and see what it does. Yeah, I like that. This one might be tricky. We'll try. Okay, so I'm sorry, I know this is pretty boring. I'm going to switch to the clone tool, kind of clone over some of this here. And I have reduced the flow on it. I still have it at 100% opacity. Excuse me, but I've brought the flow down so I can work a little bit slower. So I don't get quite so many kind of blotchy marks or repeating patterns so much. Alright, but mostly I just clone over. And if I start to lose too much texture, which I'm starting to do here, so I'll show you. I come over here and I get a brush. Oops, let me put a blank layer on. I get a brush, and I'm going to come up here, and I have these brushes that kind of look like pine tree. So like this one. Let me change the angle of it. Okay, so there's what that looks like. And I definitely want to make that smaller. So then if you do Alt, hold down the Alt key, it's going to give you a color picker. And I'm just going to select tree color here. And I'm going to change the blend mode here to, let's try color and see what that does. I'm really not sure. I'll just play around. So then I just start going over these spots here. Give it some more texture. I feel like Bob Ross here making happy little trees. But I just really want to cover up these houses here in the background. So it's just a lot of tapping. Oh my gosh, I'm at 10% opacity. Let's bring that up. That's why that's taking forever. So there, you can see I'm adding some pine trees here. Oops, I don't like what that did. Let's throw a layer mask on there, and I'm gonna wipe that back off. There. That's a good thing about Photoshop and working in layers, is if you make a mistake like that, you can just quickly erase it like it never happened. Alright. So I think, let's come in here again. Let's choose color again. Oops. I may need to play with what they call the jitter on this brush, so that it changes the pattern a little bit. Each time I am clicking the mouse, it should change the way it's laying down. Yeah, I don't know that I like that. I may clone over that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and flatten this down and duplicate my background again, and I'm going to go ahead and crop and see what I need to move. So I'm really funny about, if I have a leading line, like with these rocks, I like them in the corner of the image. I don't know, it's just one of my little quirks, I guess. So I'm okay with them not being exactly on the rule of thirds in this. I really like